Hello, my name is Coral Waters. I identify as a woman, however, I was born biologically with the male sex. I'm what's called a transgender or transsexual. And my sexual orientation is queer. I define it as that because I don't feel that I fit neatly into any of the other boxes in that realm. I served about 8 years and 10 months in the United States Marine Corps. For about just over the majority of my career, starting at the beginning, I served as an infantryman. I was a light armored vehicle crewman, first with 4th and then 2nd Light Armored Reconnaissance Battalions. I deployed twice as a member of the Delta Company, 2nd Light Armored Reconnaissance Battalion, in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. And then following that, I did what's known as a lateral move to data networking specialist. After my schooling for that, I went out to Okinawa and did mostly intelligence work and various other communications work. And then finished up my career out at Camp Pendleton, working with the 15th Marine Expeditionary Unit as a member of their help desk and the Forward Command Element and Communications team. I attended more schools while in the military than I can readily recall at this moment. A mixture of both distance and residential PME or professional military education, meaning some classes that I took online or via books that I ordered, and quite a few other classes that I took at formalized schools. Some of the classes included in these were company level intelligence communications chief. I was a graduate of Light Armored Vehicle Commander's course at Camp Pendleton, SOI West, School of Infantry West. It was pretty difficult while serving, not being able to ever let down to anybody about having a gender identity that was different from my born biological sex, as well as my orientation. I endured all the same hardships that any Marine, combat arms or otherwise, would in the course of their career. But in addition to that, I had to do it literally on my own at a very difficult time, getting along with anyone, just because it seemed obvious to a lot of people that there was something maybe different about me, but I'm not sure what anybody may or may not have thought, but it definitely pushed me into isolation. I felt that I was always alone, that I could never talk to anybody about anything that was going on with me, because I was afraid that they might find out. And as the son of a Marine, as the daughter of a Marine, I only wanted to serve faithfully and honorably, and to be able to walk away at the end of my time with my head held high, knowing that I had done right. That was my only agenda while serving as a U.S. Marine. The same as most others, I would believe. This isolation caused me to develop a series of destructive behavioral patterns. I never drank prior to entering the Marine Corps, but I picked it up while at the School of Infantry, because I figured it was just one more thing that might help me fit in with the guys. And I took to drinking alone in large quantities much quicker than my peers, it seemed. And I eventually became what I've been told is called a functioning or high-function alcoholic, which means basically if I'm drinking, then I'm acting normal, and no one can tell that I'm under the influence of any kind of mind-altering substance. But if I had to go such a long period without alcohol, I'd begin to come unglued, and trouble would start. The emotions that I was dealing with became more than I could handle. The only way that I could think of to deal with any of it was to just pretend that I didn't have them. I struggled quite a bit my whole time in with depression, anxiety, and what I've recently been told and am now diagnosed with mood disorder and personality disorder, as well as PTSD from my experiences in Iraq. I was eventually separated administratively under honorable conditions, with an honorable discharge, for mental health reasons at the convenience of the Marine Corps, due to these conditions. During the course of my career, I attempted suicide 6 times. And my most recent attempts finally landed me in a position where people were starting to notice that something was wrong with me. Even after the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, I was still just as caged as I ever was. Sure, I had plenty of homosexual, gay males and lesbian female peers and friends that I served with who were able to come out. But it's been my experience that even under those conditions, it was still unacceptable to let on that I might be a feminine male, depending on your perspective. I very much had to play a part the entire time that I was in, and the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell really didn't change anything for me at all. I encountered some difficulties with my fellow service members at various points in my career. In the course of my career, I have been mocked, beaten, shunned, and at one point even raped by heterosexual service members, seemingly anyways. I'm not entirely sure why they went so far as to do some of the things they did to me. Much of it seemed was done in the name of what it means to be a proper Marine, or how somebody should act in the name of God. It seems came up quite a bit. It seemed that people saw my difference as an opening for an attack. As any service member who's been in more than a couple seconds knows, if you stand out in any way, that's blood in the water, and the sharks will come for you. And oftentimes, without trying, I let out plenty of that. There was an evening when I had, as I had on many occasions, drank to the point where I was barely able to comprehend anything that was going on around me. This was a regular behavioral pattern for me during my time in service, and until recent events occurred, which landed me in the mental health ward of Naval Medical Center San Diego earlier in 2012. No one was even aware up until that point that I even had a drinking problem, because I forcibly learned how to be a chameleon. I did my best to blend in and hide any part of my personal life in any way that I could. Some things I think I hid a little too well, but what resulted in hiding so much from so many for so long only served to make things a bit more challenging for me, I guess. So this evening I had purposely drank myself to the point where I was incapable of being responsible for myself. Although I will admit that every time I picked up the bottle, it was my decision to do so, and no one forced my hand on that. A fellow Marine observed my state, and I cannot pretend to know what his motivations were, but this Marine did things to me of a sexual manner that I did not consent to. I was barely cognizant of what was going on. Things just seemed to periodically just sort of flash in and out, like it was surreal, and I wasn't even there. It's like I was watching it happen to me from outside of myself, and I couldn't do anything. I do recall that I did not want it. I did not solicit it, and I seemed to be somehow screaming in my head the whole time that I didn't want this. But I was unable to do anything to stop it at the time. I was unable to move, unable to speak or communicate in any way. I was basically just a lifeless body. I don't know when I will be able to stop hating myself for allowing myself to become that vulnerable. I make no excuses for this other Marine. What they did was wrong. Just after that was finished, this Marine basically just discarded me like a worthless piece of garbage, and that's certainly how I felt at the time. It's as if I wasn't even human to this person, and I don't understand why someone would do that to another human being. I confess, I've done things in service to my country in Iraq that that go beyond what any human being should do to another. It was all I did what was asked of me, and I did it as best as I could. But to this day, none of that makes a whole lot of sense to me, and I don't care much to think about why it all happened, because that just it's upsetting.